While going on the Autobahn is so important that you have both hands on the steering wheel and you look as far ahead as possible. But I'm aware of these cars and that they may, pull out at any second. And also, and then this truck, yeah, that's insane. Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So good brakes, good brakes. It's getting cold. And that means winter, and that means winter tires. And that's why we are here at Nokian Tires, which is also sponsoring this video very proudly. I'm really proud to be working with them. But we're gonna go here and I'm gonna get some new rubber, some new shoes on my Taycan for the winter season 2025-2026. So this is pretty cool. Here we have on display a few different type of Nokian tires. We have the Hakkapeliitta R5 studless winter tires. We have the Hakka studded winter tires, and then we have a few summer tires over there. But what's important for the season now and moving forward are, of course, the winter tires. Nokian made the first winter tire in the world more than 90 years ago. The Hakkapeliitta winter tire was first produced like in 1936. So these are easily some of the oldest winter tires in the world. They have so many years of experience. And the thing about Nokian is that their slogan is winter tires for Nordic conditions, because the conditions on the continent in the south of Europe, yes, you can have cold conditions, but here in Norway, in Sweden, and in Finland, it's going to be different than other places around the world. And these tires are made for our roads, for the weather here. And the thing is that I've had on my past 10 cars, the past 10 years, when I've been given the choice, you buy a new car, which winter tire do you want? And long before this collaboration and Nokian was a sponsor here on the channel, that is the tire I chose. That was my go-to tire after having worked in the tire industry and the car parts industry for 5 years, because this is one of the best, if not the best, winter tire for the conditions there. And what is pretty cool, if you come closer here, there's something called winter safety indicator here. So without having any measurement tools, you can easily see the thread depth. So 8 millimeters, 6 and 4. Nokian are the only winter tires, or the only tires that have this indicator for their winter tires. So which is pretty cool. So safety is of course very apparent. But these tires are made for snow, they're made for ice, they're made for the cold conditions we have here in the north of Europe. The tires I'm having fitted to my Taycan Cross Turismo are the Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5 EV, made specifically for the Porsche Taycan. That means they are more than capable of handling the weight and the performance of this car without having to compromise. These tires also feature Nokian Tire Silent Drive with silencing foam, making them some of the most quiet tires on the road. The Taycan is not the most quiet car, so having this technology is a great perk of these tires. All Nokian winter tires offer electric fit, ensuring the tires fitted to your EV have been tested for the extra weight and performance of an electric car. Lastly, Nokian offer Hakka guarantee. If you damage your tire and it cannot be repaired, Nokian will replace the damaged tire free of charge within the first year. With new Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5 EV winter tires fitted to my Taycan, I am ready for the winter season. For more information about Nokian Hakkapeliitta winter tires, check the link down below. Today is day 2 of my European road trip from Oslo to Munich in Germany. Today we're going from just north of Hamburg, about 25-30 kilometers north of the city, to Munich. It's going to be about 820-830 kilometers depending on which route we take. And today is all about speed. So yesterday we drove almost 1100 kilometers from Oslo to here in Hamburg. I'm going to link that video down below if you haven't seen it. We had bad weather, and mostly we were driving around the speed limit, or maybe 10 plus above the speed limit, and also sitting through a lot of traffic. So go watch that video if you want to know how this car performs on a long trip, just driving normally. But today we're going to go as fast as possible from this point to Munich, and that means going VMAX. We're going to test this car and drive it a lot at high speed. We're going to pump in the charging stops. the car wants us to do 2 charging stops, and the car is at 83% state of charge now, because yesterday when I arrived here at the hotel, there are some chargers over here about 100 meters away, but they didn't work with the Audi charging card, which Audi provided me with for this trip, which has been flawless up until now. But for some reason, the chargers over here did not work. So after I checked into the hotel, I went to some Ionity chargers here next to the McDonald's, topped up to 83% state of charge, which should be enough to get us going. So without further ado, let's jump into the A6 Sportback e-tron Quattro and see how fast we can go from here to Munich, and see how this car will cope with all of those charging stops, driving fast, and yeah, just being abused today on the Autobahn. Unlike yesterday, the weather today was great without a single cloud on the sky this beautiful morning. And as I drove south towards Hamburg, I remember that there was construction on the A7 past the city back in 2023, which was the last time I drove here. And it looked to have been completed, well, until I drove a little further and found out that after 4 years of construction, they were still building this road. So once again, I had to sit through Hamburg's terrible traffic. And after what seemed to be forever, we finally cleared Hamburg and the traffic dissipated, and I could finally open up the throttle and experience the Autobahn and go as fast as I wanted. But that joy would quickly vanish after I realized I had made a huge mistake. So I've made a mistake, guys, and this is a mistake I really tried not to make. And as you guys can see, we are on a 2-lane country road. We're not on the Autobahn, and we're going to be on this road, and this type of road with low speed limits, you know, here 70. But this road varying between like 70 and 60 and 100 kilometers an hour for about an hour. And that is a mistake because I specifically tried to avoid this route. Because 2 years ago, when I went to the IAA, I booked a hotel in Lüneburg. I didn't even think about, you know, traversing Germany on non-Autobahn roads. So I didn't even think about, you know, this being an alternative. So I specifically chose a hotel in Hamburg, away from Lüneburg, to avoid this route. But the GPS, the navigation, obviously thinks this is the fastest way. But I'm pretty sure the GPS, you know, takes into account not going VMAX all the time, right? So this is a fail. Thankfully, it's going to mean our consumption is going to drop. Like, we went through Hamburg now through traffic, and it was frustrating enough going slow. And, you know, the construction that's still not finished after several years. It was the same 2 years ago, and it was the same like 4 years ago, which is insane. But yeah, so we had a little bit of section of Autobahn. We were able to go VMAX for a little bit of while, meaning the consumption, you know, went up to like 27 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But now it's going to drop, and yeah, it's going to take about an hour. So I'm probably going to drive here, and I'm going to rendezvous with you guys on the other side of this section. We're going to top up the car. I'm going to get some lunch, get some, you know, food in my belly, and we're going to be ready to do some proper Autobahn driving, but not early in the day as I was hoping. So again, fail on me, guys. I apologize. And also something's up with my audio, so I hope I can fix that in post. But yeah, talk to you in an hour or an hour and a half when we finally hit the Autobahn again. It took almost 2 hours to traverse the 2-lane route through the German countryside, from Lüneburg to Magdeburg. When I got to Magdeburg, I found a MediaMarkt to buy an audio cable for my camera and microphone because I was having issues with mine. Just a few kilometers down the road, I pulled into an Aral Pulse charging station to do the first charging stop of the day. To my surprise, this charging station was actually full, and I had to wait a whole, crazy right, a whole 10 minutes before I could connect. Pretty tragic. Yeah, I know. ICE drivers are gonna, you know, spam the comment section now. But once I connected, I hopped into the McDonald's across the road to get some, you know, guys, what I eat when I'm on a trip. A little bit of breakfast. Finally, guys, after 4.5 hours on the road, We've now done one charging stop, and I've also charged up my body with a little bit of food. And I know, guys, McDonald's is not the best for you, but it's my guilty pleasure. I only eat it when I'm on trips, and I really love testing out different menus and burgers that they have in different countries, like the TS Royal here in Germany. We don't have that in Norway, so I always eat that when I'm here. But okay, so I've reset the trip computer after our charging stop, and we're gonna try to go, well, as quick as possible now. There is a little bit of traffic, or actually quite a bit of traffic, because it is Saturday. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about this car. So the ADAS in this car is amazing. It works up to VMAX, up to 210 kilometers an hour. It works perfectly fine when there's construction through Hamburg. It is just so good. It's so confidence inspiring, and it has a pressure sensor. So you just, put your fingers to the steering wheel and touch it, and it detects. You don't have to sit, constantly feeding input. It is so good. It's the best ADAS, and it's so apparent that this ADAS here is made for using at high speed. It's made for using under different road conditions, unlike, many of the Chinese cars where it just doesn't work at all on normal roads at normal speeds. Here it works under construction, narrow lanes, wide lanes, bad markings, confusing markings, going fast. It's no problem. I can set it here to 210 kilometers an hour and let the car do its thing. So this car is on air suspension, and it has a few different drive modes. So we have the drive select button down here. That doesn't always work. That's the only thing about this car. That's not always responsive. So individual, dynamic, comfort, and efficiency. I've been running efficiency basically most of the time, because if I put it into dynamic, it actually goes up a notch on the suspension. So I think actually, especially going at high speed, having that lower suspension setting, it means it's gonna be more aerodynamic. We're gonna have less drag, especially at high speed. But even, in efficiency mode, unlike, my personal vehicle, my Taycan Cross Race mode, this is still very soft and supple. There's no compromise in ride at all. And also going into dynamic mode, if I just turn off the adaptive cruise control here, and if I get a little bit of throttle, there's more immediate response, like it picks up speed quicker. But also in efficiency mode, I think as long as you, just depress the pedal all the way, it feels almost as fast. So going on the Autobahn, like, unless I'm trying to, catch up with a really fast car, just going normally, I think efficiency mode is perfectly fine. And the car is so comfortable. It tracks so beautifully. The steering is so good at high speed. I mean, these German cars are really made for the Autobahn. And guys, you can see here, there's so much traffic. There's so many cars going, 120, 110, 130 in the left lane, just hogging the lane. There's so many caravans and trailers and people going slow. Like, come on, pass a little bit faster, and then everybody's letting everybody in from the right, so it just takes so long to pass. Like this guy in this Mercedes V-Class, come on, just get out of the way. The guy in Hyundai is right up your butt. Like, let him pass. And also this guy is gonna go 2 kilometers faster than him. What happened to just passing, get that by, and then letting the cars behind you in? Yeah, I think like Saturday drivers today, in the weekday is probably more efficient. Like, I've been traveling a lot in Germany on a weekday, and I don't remember it being so slow. Maybe it's just the amount of traffic, but okay. Let this guy clear, and then pedal to the metal. And we're really quickly up to the top speed of 210 kilometers an hour GPS, or 215, 216 is what we've seen indicated. So while going on the Autobahn, is so important when going fast that you have both hands on the steering wheel and you look as far ahead as possible. Like, not the car there, but look at the car behind the truck over there, right? And then he goes out. I mean, it's probably like 300 meters in front of me, but I'm aware of these cars and that they may, pull out at any second. And also, and then this truck, yeah, that's insane. Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So good brakes. I mean, that is insane. We're going 215 and now we're going 90. Like, doesn't he check his mirror? Doesn't he see that fast Audi coming behind him with the closing speed of 130 30 kilometers an hour, that is so dangerous. But that's why it's so important to pay attention and just be on your toes, not on your phone, both hands on the steering wheel. And why, okay, so it's just gonna take a little bit of time to get past. That's this, and we're gonna give him a little bit of this. Yeah, I mean, that it's dangerous, right? You have to yield when you're changing lanes. I can go as fast as I want. Of course, I have to be cautious, as I was, but still, guys, just don't pull out. Check your mirrors, side mirrors, interior mirrors. As I was saying, on air suspension and even on these 21-inch wheels, this car is so comfortable. I mean, the ride is so comfortable. You put the car into efficiency or to comfort, and it's just so soft and supple. There's a little bit of body motion, but it's still so impressively controlled. I mean, I can't tell the difference between this and the last EQS sedan I drove. It is so comfortable. And then at speed, efficiency mode, putting the pedal to the floor. I mean, it's not as fast as in dynamic, but I still think it is plenty fast for accelerating, you know, if you're not going to be the fastest car on the Autobahn, and you rarely are. But of course, you know, a better car for me would have been the S6, but Audi don't have an S6 Sportback, because I wanted the Sportback because it is the most efficient shape. But just how? No, come on, guys, check your mirror. You can see his body language, the car, like, not even indicating. He's like pulling out. Yeah. Come on, pay attention, people. So when we left the charger, the car estimated we would arrive at the Circle K charger in Mark Schorgast with 15%, but now that we've been gunning it, the car now estimates 10%. I think we're just going to choose a charger that is closer. But yeah, 33 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, average speed 150 kilometers an hour over 45 kilometers. Yeah, we're going to see some insane numbers on this next leg. We've been covering ground really quickly. There has been less and less traffic. And after an hour on the road from our last charging stop, we've covered 164 kilometers with an average speed of 159 kilometers an hour. And only in Germany, you can pass the police at 200 kilometers plus, and it's fully legal, which is so insane. Consumption not that bad. We're still like hovering around 36, 37 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So this is what I want to talk about. This section of the Autobahn, the A9, is a little bit curvy. And this car in efficiency mode is a little bit too soft for my liking. Even when you put it into dynamic mode, I still think there's a little bit too much movement on the suspension on the front axle, as the car gives us a message that we have less than 50 kilometers of range left. There's still a little bit of motion, like a little bit. I wish there was just a little bit more high-speed stability, which I think I experienced both in my own e-tron GT a few years ago on this stretch of motorway. Also the Polestar 2 long-range dual motor, like the first iteration, and also the Mercedes EQE 43 AMG. I think all of those cars have a little bit better high-speed stability. And keep in mind that this and the EQE has the same top speed. The Polestar topped out at like 205 in GPS, and also my e-tron GT like 245. And that e-tron GT has a rear spoiler, so once you press the button, it really just hunkers down the rear suspension, and that car becomes so stable. This, a little bit too soft, you know, at 200 kilometers an hour plus. As I said, you can put it into dynamic, but I think then the suspension becomes a little bit too bouncy. I just wanted a little bit more stability over that front axle, because when there's a little bit movement on the car and road surface gets you know, a little bit bumpy, there's a little bit movement on that front axle. But that's my only complaint.
Later in the week, I met up with my friend Chris from Battery Life, so go check out his channel for EV content in German and in English. He's based here in Germany. He actually just had been testing the A6 e-tron a few weeks ago and agreed with me with my assessment that the A6 was just a little too soft over the front axle at high speed when changing direction. He also had an S6 on loan when I was there, so I got to take it out, and it was a lot more stable at 215 kilometers an hour indicated. And even at its top speed of 245 kilometers an hour, the S6 was a lot more stable than the A6 was at a lower 215 kilometers an hour. So it does seem like Audi have tuned the A6 to be a lot more soft and comfortable. And guys, check out my Instagram, which is also called Chris Rifa, for more behind the scenes from my trips and from my testing. You're gonna get a lot more unfiltered content there. Even like wind noise, going 216 kilometers an hour is nicely suppressed. Yeah, so we're gonna charge in about 30 kilometers. The car says we're gonna arrive there with 4%, maybe or maybe not. It's of course changed the charger to a Shell recharge, but it really doesn't matter. We're just gonna gun it, because the thing is, if we go faster, even if we charge earlier, we're still covering ground quicker, right? So initially the car said with the old route where we were going to be able to go further, that we were going to charge at arrive at our hotel at 6:55. Now that time is down 4 minutes. So even going faster, even depleting the battery at a quicker rate, really pays off, because you're going so fast that you're going to make it up in travel time. As quickly as I said it, the car rerouted us to another charger. I haven't been here before. What charger are we going to go to here? This is a T-Mobile TMO. Never even heard of the provider. But because I have the Audi charging services charging card, it should be no problem at all. And this is also like a 400 kilowatt charger. I really appreciate, the large screen, the large text, the large icons, because going fast, that is what you want. I remember my e-tron GT I had a few years ago. I didn't understand why the speed limit, the new speed limit, was so big. And that is because when you're going fast, you want things big, because you want to spend the least amount of time possible looking at screens and trying to decipher what is going on. So 178 kilometers covered now, average speed 160 kilometers. So in an hour and 7 minutes, we've covered almost 200 kilometers, which is insane. This place looks a little bit familiar, but I don't think I've been here before with this car. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. So the car wants us to charge for 13 minutes, because now it wants us to do 2 charging stops. And I think we're going to do that, because we're just going to top up here. I'm going to go to the toilet, because we're going to eat through the battery at such an insanely quick rate, going the speed we've been going. Okay, so this is a pretty cool charging station. So I think we're going to back up to one of these bays over here. In Germany, people have a very different culture when it comes to privacy than other places, in the world or in Europe, in my opinion. So that's why in Germany, I really like to, just get away from people as much as possible. So I'm not, invading anybody's privacy, because people don't really like to be on camera, even though they're in the background. So 157 kilometers an hour, 179 kilometers covered, average consumption 37.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, in an hour and 8 minutes on the road. And we're down to 12% state of charge. Okay, so let's open up the charge port, which has worked actually flawless. So let's tap the card. This is in German. Authentifizieren. Yeah, sorry, my German isn't. Sorry guys, but I've been out of practice with my German for a little while. So let's go over here and see if that's good. It should be good, but this is really cool. They have all of these Alpatronics cabinets. So, I mean, how many do they have up and running? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. But a few of them were covered, so I don't think all are operational. But this is really cool. Seeing, these large charging stations that we've, seen in Norway and in Scandinavia for a while. And even like this scale hasn't really been a thing in Norway. Maybe you'll get it when you have, different charge point providers in the same location. You'll get this many chargers, but from one provider, this is pretty an insane setup here. But as we experienced, at our last charging stop, I think Germany is going to need this, because the adoption rate to EVs has been pretty rapid. I see a lot of, more electric cars on the road than ever.
And okay, so 229, 243, 258. We've seen, you know, speeds as high as 285 with this car. I think you saw it yesterday. And this thing just, you know, takes charge at an insane rate. 271, 272. In the past half an hour, I've had this Alpina D3 touring chasing me, and now I just let him pass. And I just can't keep up with him because he just has a higher top speed. I think like acceleration wise we are closely matched, but this thing tops out electronically at 210. He can probably go 240, 250, I'm guessing easily. This car could, I mean, 462 horsepower. My e-tron GT had 476 horsepower and did 245 and was electronically limited at that speed. So it's a little bit annoying that, you know, these manufacturers, they electronically limit these cars, and then we catch up with the D3 as we hit, you know, 120 kilometer an hour speed limit. But amazing car. I really like this car, but on this, you know, as we're approaching Munich now, we're about, how far are we, like 150 kilometers? The car wants us to do a short charging stop now. It wanted us to do initially 1 minute, but because we've been, you know, hammering it, it wants us to do 5 minutes, but we're just going to top up quite a bit, 182 kilometers away from Munich. So this section is a lot more, you know, twisty and turny as we come into Bavaria, or, you know, closer to Bavaria. And this car, you can really feel the weight or the soft suspension set up in this A6. So I'm guessing like an S6 would be better. Also, again, a higher top speed, and that may be why this is limited to 210, because on this stretch of road, it just feels a little bit too soft on the front suspension. There's a little bit too much motion compared to what I would like. Like an e-tron GT is a completely different car at high speed than this. But I mean, it's fine. It's not unsafe. It's not uncomfortable. It just feels soft. And they're just, you know, these big motions as, you know, the car settles, and there's a little bit of, you know, dips and bumps in these curves. And remember, guys, this is only going to apply in Germany because it's only here where we're going to go VMAX 215 kilometers an hour indicated. So like, this is nitpicking. It is very specific to this part of the world. But with that being said, I think there's a trade-off here, right? This is a heavy car, big battery, it's a saloon. But if they made it, you know, a little bit lower, because it is tall for being what type of car it is, if they made it a little bit lower, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit wider, and gave it a little bit more taut suspension, I think it would have been able to control its mass just a little bit better. But, you know, the trade-off is great comfort, and even going 215 kilometers an hour, you don't have to raise your voice at all. Okay, so we are now approaching our third charge stop for the day. And again, you know, if I were driving at a normal pace, not hammering it all the time, we wouldn't need to do 3 charging stops today, and we didn't need to do 4 yesterday. Or how many? 3. We did 3 yesterday. We could have done 2 yesterday, and we could have easily done 2 today. So we're going to the Aral chargers over here. I've been here before, Aral Pulse. I was here with the Mercedes EQE SUV 43 AMG a few years ago. So I've been to this charging station. Again, you know, pretty decent. Again, there are a few cars here. Like, it's not completely full, so I'm not worried, but there are, like, there are cars charging here. So yeah, that's a big difference from just a few years ago. So we're gonna check out the consumption now here, guys. 309 kilometers, 37.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, covered in 2 hours with an average speed of 152 kilometers an hour. And we're here with 33% state charge. And I can show you guys, the car just wants us to do a quick top up, but we're gonna probably do 10-15 minute charge, and arrive in Munich with a lot of battery. Welcome to Munich, guys. And like 2 years ago and 4 years ago, when I came to the IAA, the weather is beautiful. It's like 22 degrees and sunny. Yeah, so we're about 4 kilometers out from the hotel, but I want to give you guys an update now because we're not on the Autobahn anymore. So for the past 476 kilometers, we had an average speed of 100 46 kilometers an hour with an average consumption of 36.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and covered almost 500 kilometers in 3 hours, which is just insane. So the traffic was not that bad, you know, the last half of the trip. But the overall average speed of the trip in total was 114 kilometers an hour, which is a lot higher than what we had after like 4 hours on the road, which is like 85 kilometers an hour because of the 2 hours through country roads and 2-lane roads, and also sitting through Hamburg traffic. So I don't think that is bad at all. 780 something kilometers covered in less than 7 hours. So we're going to do the summation of the, you know, the charging and the trip at the end of the video, but I just want to give you guys, you know, this the stint we've had on the Autobahn has been just insanely fast. I mean, going almost 500 kilometers in 3 hours is an insane average speed. You know, that's the distance between Oslo and Bergen, which is a trip that takes like 6.5 to 7 hours without charging, and we did it in less than half. So that is absolutely mind-boggling. I've now checked into the hotel, and I've also driven down to the underground parking garage here at the hotel and found a charger, and we're charging at 10.5 kilowatts, which is pretty sweet, and it worked with the Audi charging card. So today, except for, you know, waiting 10 minutes at our first charging stop, we've had no issues at all. We haven't had to wait. We've pretty much gotten the speed we wanted, except again for at that first charging stop, where I think, you know, the charging station was maxed out because there were 6 cars charging at once. But still, I mean, it was pretty decent. The first charging stop, I, you know, connected the car. I went in and ate, and I came out after 35 minutes, and the car had charged to, how many percent had it charged to? It had to charge to 88%. And then second charging stop, we charged from 12 to 85% in 25 minutes. And then the last charging stop now, 33 to 80% in 18 minutes. So I basically, you know, connected, gone into the gas station or the store or, you know, the restaurant or McDonald's, done what I was supposed to do, and then got back to the car, went to the toilet, bought something to drink, you know, emptied the car for trash, and then I just got back to the car, and then I was on my way. So in total, we charged for 78 minutes, an hour and 18 minutes today. But in reality, I wasn't waiting for the car to finish. I just charged and did my thing, and then I went out to the car and I was on my way. And we arrived here with 12% state of charge, and we've really been gunning it. I mean, you could have done an economy run and just do 2 charging sessions, so I don't think that's bad at all. So I'm going to put up, you know, the consumption and all for the trip, 31.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, I think, which is pretty high. But again, you know, we've been gunning it for almost 500 kilometers, which is just insane. So I'm probably going to do, you know, videos on my way back to Oslo. We're going to do different themes those days. Maybe I want to go to the Audi museum also in Ingolstadt the last day, but probably you'll be watching these videos after I get back from Munich, because I'm probably going to post from Munich the IAA and all the other launches I'm going to before I post this road trip video. So a little bit out of sequence. But either way, guys, I hope you have enjoyed these 2 days from Oslo down to Munich, showing you that except for once waiting for a charger for 10 minutes, there have been no issues. Everything has just been super smooth. And the thing about this car is that you can go VMAX, you can go 200 kilometers an hour, and it is super silent. There's no engine that's straining. There's no loud noises. It's just been a pleasure to travel with this car, and I can't wait to take it back to Norway and maybe do a little bit more of an economy run. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.